Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to do a talk on pole floats. In our area we've got the Division 1 National coming up in August, I think it is, August the 17th, and you're using two of our local venues which we fish quite a lot through the summer. We've got the new Junction Canal and the Aire and Calder Canal. So I thought today we'll just run through a couple of floats, what I use and a few of my mates fish on the canal, and it just gives you an insight into the rigs that you might be using on the canal if you're coming up to fish the National. Let's start with the new Junction Canal. This is my favourite venue. On the new Junction, it's on average probably a top 4 deep from the middle to your 10-metre line, and then from 10 metres back to about 4 metres you'll be talking probably a top 3, but most of it's a top 4. And on that kind of fishing you're going to be fishing for roach and skimmers and a few perch on your chop worm line and your hemp and your pinky line. So for the floats I use for that, for pinky fishing most of the time I use pinky and squat fishing. I like to use these Drennan AS3 floats. They've got a hollow tip and a carbon body, and that is my favourite float of all time, or that shape of float is my all-time favourite. I love that. You can do anything and fish any venue with that. For me pinky fishing on the Aire and on the new Junction, I like to fish between a 414s and a 416s and just fish that with shot strung out and catch on the drop. And you'll want that in size, as I say, from sizes 414s, 416s and maybe a 418s at times. For pinky fishing as well, on the 10-metre line, which will be a top 4, I like to use the Census hollow 18s they're called, and these have got a wire stem and a hollow plastic bristle, because it's quite deep and you want your bait on the bottom, and I use them in sizes from 4x16s up to a gram on the new Junction. The other float that I use on the new Junction, and it could come into play a little bit in odd sections, is eel fishing. And at this you'll be doing this at between 13 and 14.5 metres, and for that kind of fishing you want a proper float and some proper line on. So for that I use the Drennan, the Maver Series 2s, which have got the line going through the body, so you can't pull out from the eels, because some of them can be 1.5 pounds, 2 pound is the eels on that line, and you'll be using 016 and 018 main line for your eel rigs. So you want a proper float for that, which I find these very good for, and I use them between 1.5 gram and 3 grams. Right, on the Aire and Calder Canal, the Aire and Calder is a little bit different. It's wider than the new Junction, but in a lot of it is a little bit shallower. But you get a lot of swell on there, not so much with boat traffic, just with the width of it and the wind what you get on the Aire and Calder. So you still need to fish quite positive, even on your pinky line and your long pole line. Long pole line, there's a few skimmers, and you're fishing for more mixed fish on there like roach and skimmers and a few perch, and for that again I use the Census hollow 18 floats for that, in a range of sizes from 4/16s up to 2 gram. As I say, it tows as well on that canal a lot, so you want a stable float. On my pinky fishing line on the Aire and Calder, I use these are Census Windies. It's not many people use these, but I just like them. I like the shape. They've got a thick plastic bristle on them and a good strong wire stem, and with it towing and you get a lot of swell on it, they just seem to sit right for when you're pinky fishing. And as I say, you need a stable float. So on the Aire and Calder, a lot of time you could be pinky fishing, even though it's between a top 3 and a top 4 deep, you could be using rigs between 4x16s up to 2 grams in areas when it's got the swell on it. On the shorter line, on my hemp line and my squat line, some areas are only a top 3 deep on the Aire and Calder. It changes all over. And on that line, I like to use the Maver Finesse Series 4s. They've got a carbon stem and a thin plastic hollow bristle in them. And I use them from 4x12s up to 4x16s, depending on the depth. And the only other float I use different to all them is on my short line for chop worm fishing, which is same on the Aire and Calder and the new Junction Canal. I use the Colmic Bigs. It's just a very robust float, and when you're catching perch or an odd eel as well on that line, I just find these very, very stable, and you can see them and you can use big pieces of worm because they've got thickish tips on them, or you can fish with maggots on them as well.